Yeah, how you doing, Mike? Yeah. Vanessa, you can sit wherever you want. All right, well, I think we're speaking to a group of two, because I think everybody else is part of the group. Welcome, good morning, everyone, for those of you that made it out here. I'm not sure if it's good or bad that there aren't people here. We'll assume that the word is starting to get out and people are comfortable with what's going on, but we'll certainly go through the process and answer any questions we have. I don't think we need language translation services. Does anybody?
Si alguna persona necesita traducción simultánea al español, pueden pasar conmigo y tomar sus aparatos. Gracias.
Thank you. Well, it's silly to introduce myself, but I will since it's all recorded. My name's Jeff Dean. I'm the retired sheriff of Ventura County. I've been involved with the Community Foundation and kind of helping along with this project. Happy to be here today with Commander Tim Hagel from the Sheriff's Office, the Acting Chief of Police for Thousand Oaks, to kind of go through this. This is the first of two informational meetings. The other one will be this evening that we're having to help and assist in properly distributing the incredibly gracious donations that have come in from around the country and around the world. Today, we want to provide information on the protocol and how it's going to be applied and how that money will be distributed. We will have time for questions and answers at the end for anybody that wants to do it. The meeting is recorded, so if you don't want to have your comments recorded, you can fill out a comment card and we'll certainly take those. It's important to the foundation, their CEO, Vanessa Bechtel, is here, that all the information, all the public input that's possibly available to make this the best process ever is brought in and used in the final protocol. And for the restrooms are out the door to the right. That's the one thing I had to get right. So that's that. So I can tell you how it started because I was there. Tim and I were out at the scene after the bad part was partially done initially. And we started saying, what are we going to do for the victims? People are going to want to make donations. And Tim had an idea, we'll set up a victim center over, the city stepped up right away and offered the youth center over on Jan's Road. And then we tried to figure out, where's that money going to go? And we tossed, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, we're tossing around ideas, and Thousand Oaks City Manager, the county CEO, and reached out, and a couple of us talked to Vanessa at the Community Foundation, and they agreed that they would be the repository for donations that we knew would come in, and agreed to do it without charging any administrative overhead, which is incredibly generous and really, really important to assure that all the money got out to the victims. To make sure it's done properly, following the distribution of the funds, there'll be an independent review by an outside auditor of all the funds that came in and how that money went out. And it is a little late, but there are translation services available. So as I said, thousands of dollars have come in from all over the country and all over the world. When we think things, when we have a bad taste in humanity, something tragic like this happens, and the kindness and goodness in everyone's heart opens up. And it's amazing how generous people are. So the numbers are up there. Over $2 million has been received. About $310,000 of that's already been distributed actually Tim personally delivered the money to virtually all of the families, people that lost lives, and cards went out to other people. There's $1.7 million remaining. There's a few more fundraisers going on out there. Again, these are funds that are coming into the Ventura County Community Foundation. I know the Westlake Rotary is also doing things. There's also groups that are operating on their own and collecting money. We'll be distributing funds, but these are funds we're talking about that are coming in and will be distributed out through the Community Foundation. And with that, I'll let Tim come up and
Thank you, Jeff. So, philanthropy can be extremely complex. Nobody wants to leave anybody behind. Every dollar that somebody donates, the community foundation, and the leaders in the community promise that each one of those dollars would go to the victims without overhead. So with that being said, the wisdom of the Community Foundation has retained Ken Feinberg as Special Master of the U.S. Government Victims Compensation Fund. And for those of you that understand, a Special Master is an actual appointment title. Sometimes it's made by the President, it's made by department heads of federal governments and state governments, but this is a person that's entrusted to make sure that a process is done correctly. Ken Feinberg has graciously donated his time to be an advisor for the Ventura County Community Foundation. And some of his credits, I think, are important to point out. He was the gentleman behind how you disperse the money for the 911 fund, the 9/11 fund, the Virginia Tech shooting, the BP oil spill, Aurora, Sandy Hook, and the federal government's Terrorism Victims Fund. So he comes with some serious credentials. With that based, we've chosen his model to make sure that the disbursements from the Community Foundation are done properly to those victims in need. 100% of the payments will be apportioned in accordance with the severity of the injury to the victims. And if you take a look at this, these are the important numbers. This is Mr. Feinberg's formula based upon his models from all of these other prior very similar incidents. 70% of the fund as of this date, of the registered date, will go to those families that lost their loved ones. Those who were physically injured, estimated at approximately 20%, and then those that were present during the tragedy, estimated at 10%, so that those that were just there. Now these numbers will vary. It's important to point out, some people you may start doing some finger math to say, well, what does that equate to? As we know, money is still coming in as I'm talking right now to you. But it's estimated right now, if all being equal, that those for the families that lost loved ones would be at approximately $80,000 per family. Remember, it's important to point out this number can vary. For those that were physically injured, that would be 20% of the fund, and that will range depending on their injuries, from severe injuries to minor injuries. We'll estimate between $1,500 and $25,000, again, dependent on the injuries that they incurred. And those that were present from the tragedy but escaped unharmed, that will be approximately $1,000. As I just said, this is based upon the amount of money that's in the fund on February 28th and the completion of all the submitted claims. And this is something that's really important for us. We want to make sure that people are aware that they can apply, and we'll go over that process later. Review of a special oversight committee and fund administrator, and final approval of the Ventura County Community Foundation. These applications are available online at the Caneo Valley Victims Fund.org. You can also go to, by mail as requested, you can contact the Ventura County Community Foundation. And there is also translation services available by the foundation to assist. It's very important to point out that we will talk in another minute about clinics that are available for victims to come to, and we'll discuss those clinics that are available, and they can fill out their paperwork right there. Jeff, would you like to come up?
Click back for a second, so I don't know. One more. No, not that far. Back to yours.
There?
Yeah, you didn't have the, so people can see the dates. Didn't have it up there. That one right
yeah.
there. That wasn't up there. So those are the email applications and the locations for those that didn't get to see it. Okay, so Give an Hour. So I heard about this group called Give an Hour, and I didn't know what the heck it was. And as it turns out, they're a national group that do amazing work. And they're a nonprofit group that provides mental health and other types of assistance for free by professional licensed clinicians. And they've agreed to come in, and they are facilitating the fund and the process, and they will be holding a series of meetings, private clinics. Now, we don't have locations up there for privacy purposes. So when anybody calls Give an Hour and makes an appointment, they'll be given a location where their clinic and their counseling is available. These are amazing people. They have a table outside. I know I'm not sure if we have any, the victims' families or anybody here, or they might be listening, but they have a table. You can contact them, and they're there to help you. And they're the ones that will take applications. They will help you fill out the applications to make sure it's done properly and facilitate the process, because we don't want this to be difficult for anyone. We want this to be as easy as it possibly can. So who's on the committee? Vanessa and the board of the Community Foundation wanted to make sure that it was a well-rounded out group. They got some good people, and then they got stuck with me on it in addition to it. But you can see the names on there: Kathy Long, our former supervisor, Scott Hansen, the board chair, Tim Gallagher, a board member and former editor of the paper. Anita Bush is a victim advocate that's been involved in these type of situations throughout the country. Albert and Marcus Grimey of their foundation, whose family members were also involved in a tragic incident. And then Dr. Richard Rush, the past president of Cal State Channel Islands, has been willing to step up as the fund administrator. So this committee, along with Dr. Rush, will look at all the applications. They will look at, and put them into a category in the predetermined areas that were suggested by Mr. Feinberg, and establish what award level these people will make. The timeline, as we go through this, so December 21st, the applications and the information started to go out. We had some discussions today with the Give an Hour people, and we're going to reach out to a couple of local universities and help get that information out for anybody that hears this and can help us spread the word. Please do that, because we want people that qualify to apply, and we want them to know about it. Today's the first, obviously, this morning, and the second town hall meeting this afternoon. February 18th is a deadline for all submissions. February 18th through 27th, all personal meetings requested with fund administrator will be completed. So if anybody submits an application or has a question, they'll be able to meet with the fund administrator, and at any time they can call the Community Foundation and talk to their CEO, Vanessa Bechtel, and she will answer any questions they might have and help them through the process. And through the February 18th through the February 28th, all claims and recommendations will be done. That's the goal. This is a very tight timeline, but as you know, we've seen at other critical, tragic incidents around the country, sometimes things drag on. We don't want that to happen. We know people donated this money because they wanted it to go to the victims, and that's our charge, is to get that money out as quickly as possible while following all the legal ramifications that are with it. For those that haven't been involved in it, it's complicated to give money away, to not violate IRS provisions, to make sure that the donors and the recipients aren't taxed on it. It's not a simple process. And so we have to follow all those legal guidelines and make sure it's done properly, because we don't want it to be difficult for the donors, and we don't want to be any difficult at all for the recipients. But as a tight timeline, for those of you who've been around Vanessa, She holds everybody to tight timelines, including herself. And so by March 1st, distribution will be approved and should start going out. And then on March 15th, we'll have independent review by the auditors to make sure everything we did was legitimate and appropriate. Now, it's interesting what happens, and things you don't think about, and Vanessa pointed this out to me. So about 10% of all the donations that come in with credit cards are fraudulent. And so you can't, as sad as it is, you count that as donations, and as Vanessa's staff goes in to check on those, it was somebody who had their credit card stolen, and somebody used that to make a donation. So historically it runs about 10%. So that's part of the contingency of things we have to go back and double check when we have a cleanup, if you will, at the end, exactly how much money is left and how much money totally came in, and then we have in her possession to make sure it all gets out there. But we certainly don't want to commit to give money out to people that, because of fraud or another reason, we actually don't have. And with that, that is the website, and she gave you the cleanup job, huh? We just want to get that information out to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. And with that, all right, thanks for coming. Have a great day.